Episode 2 of Coaches Conversations. I've got Coach Adam Fletcher with me today. He is the head strength and conditioning coach at the University of Illinois. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, Ryan. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you joining me. I know you've been a busy man with everything that's been going on throughout this COVID-19. And before we get into the ins and outs of that, just want to let everybody know that Coach Adam Fletcher is a graduate of St. Albans High School and a native St. Albans, West Virginian, and also a graduate of Miami University of Ohio, right? And Coach, where did you get your master's degree?
I got my master's degree at Edith Cowan University in Perth, Australia. And the reason why I went to Australia was because at the time, and really still, all of the sports science was coming out of Australia. So I wanted to get over there and learn from those guys to have a better understanding of what they were using and how they were implementing it directly from the source. So I was very fortunate to get accepted into that program, and it's been a big tool for our success and the way that we train our athletes now.
Right. Awesome, Coach. So, Coach, before we get into it, talk to us a little bit about your COVID-19 fundraiser that you guys have been doing, and what started that, and where did that come from, and where have you headed with that?
Yeah, it's still ongoing. We're still running it even through the next weekend, but it all started obviously when this hit, and strength coaches were trying to scramble to figure out what we were going to do, and I partnered up with a couple of colleagues and came up with the Coaches versus COVID-19, and really it started out just a way to share information, essentially, and kind of as it got legs and then slowly got wings and really took off, is whenever it became what it did, and it was a 4-day event, 22 hours of information that was shared from some of the highest levels of strength and conditioning in the country. It was worldwide. There were people from all over the world that were tuned in. Over 7,000 people were involved with it. We were fortunate to raise over $162,000, and that's still going.
Right.
And for anyone that's interested, it's still up. You can go to coachesversuscovid19.com, and you can access all that information. So any high school coach that's interested in strength and conditioning or maybe different tools to implement, it's still available.
Right.
A lot of really good information, and what a great cause, to raise that money for service providers.
Right.
That are out of work right now, and any way that we can help. It was great to see it.
Awesome, and it's awesome to see you use your platform, to do good things at this time. And I know we're all in a situation that nobody living has ever been in, So to be able to use your platform to do great things, I think is a great example for the rest of us coaches and people in general, and the kids that you coach as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. Talk to us a little bit about your career. First of all, what inspired you to get into coaching and specifically strength and conditioning?
It was a long process, really. It started with playing for great coaches. I was very fortunate all the way through, junior high, high school, college, to just be around really good coaches. Tex Williams, obviously all the success that he had at St. Albans, and all the great people that were surrounded him in that time were just great leaders, and I was fortunate to be a part of that group. And then when I went to Miami, I was actually an accounting major. It's funny how it all started, and I went through a bunch of injuries. I had a lot of injuries in college. Tore my ACL, had ankle reconstructive surgery. I had 4 surgeries, in 5 years of college basketball, and every offseason I was injured. So that led me to go into physical therapy. And actually, I did my physical therapy internships hours there at Taze Physical Therapy in St. Albans that we're all familiar with. I was very fortunate to work with great people there on the rehabilitation side of things, and that's whenever I started to think, well, maybe I can get on the front end of this as a strength coach and be more proactive in our care to help kids not get injured. And from there, I went to Michigan University. I was fortunate to work with John Beeline and John Sanderson, and was very, very fortunate to learn under those guys. That's where I was able to get my master's whenever I was working at Michigan, and spent obviously some time in Australia during that time. But 2 years at Michigan. From there, I went on to Towson University. Towson University for 3 years. I was the director of strength and conditioning there, over the entire department of 19 sports, and really got to learn a lot about leadership there and kind of how to run a group. And then from there, I've been at University of Illinois, just finished, again, my 5th season, very fortunate to be a part of this group.
Awesome, man. So as far as your time at University of Illinois, talk to us a little bit about that. You're obviously working with the men's basketball team under Coach Brad Underwood, and obviously we're talking about a big-time Big Ten program. And what have your experiences leading up towards your time at Illinois? How did they prepare you to be where you are today with University of Illinois?
Yeah, it was, again, just a lot of great people. I can go all the way back to St. Albans open gyms whenever, Bill Hersher was in there running those things. And, what a great man he was and everything he did. And hard work and just that the program there, and what it meant to me and really my family, to learn hard work and what that was all about in athletics. And then at Miami, just the injuries that I went through and trying to learn how to get back from those things. And that kind of molded me into the strength and conditioning mind that I am. From there, obviously working at Towson, whenever I went there, the team was 1-31 the year before. And in my second year, we had the biggest Division I turnaround in history of Division I. Went from 1 win to 18 wins, and being a part of that and seeing what it looked like to change that culture was one of the main reasons why I got hired at Illinois, because it was a turnaround program. So really, I've been a part of turnaround programs ever since I've been a head strength coach. And just kind of being in that every day, understanding what that took at Towson has helped me at Illinois. Obviously, whenever I took over here, we were the 12th team in the Big Ten. We just finished this past season, second in the league. So there's been a lot of progression and growth during that time. Obviously, you know what that's like. You jumped in at St. Albans and man, that thing was, it wasn't where it is now, obviously, and the success that you guys have had and how you've turned that around, what that feels like. And how much work that takes to get to that point. So really just a lot of time and energy with our guys to get to that point.
Yeah, Coach, I think that one of the things when you're talking about turning a program around that you have to learn, and I know that you've been through this as a player and as a coach, is being able to handle adversity and stay consistent through those tough times. Talk to us a little bit about your playing days and some of the adversity that you faced through that and how that helped you have a successful career thus far as a strength conditioning coach.
Yeah, it all goes back to St. Albans, and I wasn't, freshman year of high school, no one really knew who I was as a basketball player. So it's been really my entire career. I've kind of had to try to prove myself. And again, it goes back to those great people that I was working with there. My brother, a great role model for me at the time, and how good he was at St. Albans. And learning from him, what that work ethic was like was really the first kind of process for me, because I knew how good he was and I wanted to try to get to that level, and trying to follow his footsteps was hard because of how good he was, and I was his little brother, and you're trying to match up to that, obviously. So learning from him what his work ethic was, how good of a player he was, kind of helped mold my work ethic, right? And then from there, I was fortunate to get a scholarship to Miami University. And whenever I was there, you go from being, one of the best players in the state to no one knows who you are again, right? And it's a humbling experience. I think it's something that you don't know what it feels like until you go through it. And at Miami, we had a great career. We had great teams. We won the MAC championship. We went to the NCAA tournament. Charlie Coles was an unbelievable coach to play for. I learned a lot from him on just work ethic, but it was the injuries. It was the constant battle to try to get back to play in shape.
Right.
that really continued to mold that work ethic and that, just you don't ever quit, right? There's never a, I'm going to stop doing this. You just keep figuring out a way
Uh-huh.
to get to that point. And quitting was never an option. Thank God for my mom and dad for that.
Yeah.
It was just, you couldn't start something and stop.
Right.
And,
Right.
that them helping me with that has kind of molded my culture and what we do now, right? I mean, our guys, the culture under Coach Underwood is everyday guys. That's what we call it. And
Yeah.
you just, every single day you've got to work, right?
Right.
There's never an off day. And that's how you get through those tough times, is if you just keep stacking those small days together.
Right. Yeah, I think that's important. One of the themes going into our season this year was the word consistency. And, one of the things that you've got to get young kids, and I know at the college level, you have to do the same thing. And that's just to get kids to understand that and be prepared for things to not go their way. We live in a society where everybody wants it their way and everybody wants it the easy way. And so for everybody to understand, like, there's going to be adversity, there's going to be bad things happen. To break it down in a basketball game, it could be you're going to go 0 for 12 and have a few turnovers, or, it could be that you get benched, or it could be, an injury, like you're talking about. How do we respond to those events? And I think that your career has been a testament to responding to adversity through consistent work. And that's what we want at St. Albans too, just to establish that consistency through adversity. So you had mentioned.
I'd like to say, and it's shown. What
Yeah.
you've done is special. I think if you think about your team this year and defensively, what you guys were able to do, it was awesome. It was fun to watch from afar, and obviously the success that you've had, you're showing it too.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a day-by-day process, man. It's as quick as it comes, it can go. So you have to be ready. Obviously, this COVID-19 thing, through all of us coaches, including yourself, this is supposed to be your end season right now, right?
Yeah.
Get these guys prepared for next season. So, it's a day-by-day thing. And I know, just like you, man, never want to settle, trying to find ways to get better. And you've been doing that through this COVID-19 pandemic, and I've been trying to as well. That's kind of the inspiration behind our coaches' conversations here. So you had mentioned Coach Brad Underwood. Obviously, man, you don't get to his level without getting it done and doing it the right way. Talk about Coach Underwood and what makes that guy successful.
He's he's a journeyman in this business. It took him 26 years to become a head coach.
Right.
And when you think about 26 years of experience to get to your first head coaching job,
Right.
you've learned a lot. And he'll tell you, he's worked for Hall of Famers and Coach Huggins and Frank Martin. They're both, if they're not, it's somebody's messing up at the Hall of Fame level.
Absolutely.
And he's just he's an everyday guy. That's our culture. That's what we do. He brings it every single day, and just never catch him with a bad day. And it's his energy is contagious. His work ethic is ridiculous, and he holds everyone to that same standard. It's awesome to be around. It's fun to be a part of. But I would just say his tireless work ethic. He just never stops.
Right.
And 26 years to get to that point. There's a lot of probably lessons that I don't know along the way that he's kind of grown through. But man, his energy and his intensity is fun to be around.
Absolutely. Obviously being the strength and conditioning coach, you've had a chance to develop your own program, and talk about the job that you have and how that plays into the overall culture of Coach Underwood's program.
Yeah, it's again, I spend. Coach says it all the time. I spend more or as much time as he does with the team.
Right.
And it's whenever his season's done, my season starts, right? And it's kind of what you talked about. This is my on season, and it's really being an extension of who he is. I think that's really important. Whenever you are a service member of a leader,
right.
One, you have to be in lockstep with him, and you got to make sure that you're doing everything that he wants and to lead the way he wants. And the culture comes from the top, and he's certainly a great leader and has a clear vision and mission for what we're supposed to do. And then it's my job to be that foot soldier that's just making sure that culture stays the same day in and day out, making sure guys are on time, making sure guys are every set, every rep, working hard. We never miss a day.
Right.
the extra work that the guys are putting in. You're just constantly there and being that drip of water to remind guys what that everyday culture is.
Right.
And then the execution obviously is important. You don't want to just be doing, unintelligent things. It's science based. It's driven on sound principles that are, fundamental, and
Right.
it's maintaining that obviously is very important, but that's how you get the development over time.
Right. So obviously you've spent some time with us, and just for those watching, Coach Fletcher's, every time he comes into town, he checks in with us, and means a lot to us here at St. Albans, and I know the community, for him to check in with us and show that he cares like he does and uses time when he's here. So, Coach, we appreciate that tremendously. But as you know, strength conditioning in high school, you've got everything. You've got nothing, and then you've got guys that are overdoing things, and we've talked about that. Given the array of equipment and functional space that different high schools have, what can you give advice for high school coaches? What can you tell us as far as developing our own strength and conditioning program? And what would your advice be to us?
Yeah, it's, one, don't overdo it. I think we all get lost in this world of, you need equipment and you need the best equipment in the world to put together a great strength program. And
Right.
like you said, right now, hey, we don't have anything.
Yeah.
Our guys are all at home and they're back in that high school setting where we don't have anything. So
Right.
our guys are training body weight, and it's a great program.
Right.
And I think understanding the basics of movement is really important.
Okay.
Tumbling, rolling, crawling,
Right.
primal movements. Those are the things that are extremely important for really just movement development. When we get guys, I break them all the way down to nothing. Some guys, they've had the best strength coach, or they've had this and that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't move. And you and I have talked about it, like just being able to move through a full range of motion without any pain and discomfort, and being able to roll and tumble and your balance. Body weight exercises are really undervalued, I think, at the high school level. These kids are still developing.
Right.
It's not, you can add weight certainly, but you don't want to add weight unless a kid's moving through full ranges of motion comfortably and stable.
Right. That's good, Coach. And again, I think it comes naturally for me as a basketball coach to be strength and conditioning minded, because I actually played for a guy that in the high school level, Coach Daniel Roos, who is one of your cohorts in the profession. And I know you guys have been friends over the years. And
yeah, Coach Roos is a great guy.
Have crossed paths through what you do. He's the head strength coach at BCU. We were able to have him on last year, and he talked about those primal movements as well. And I just think we touched a little bit in his conversation. I want to talk a little bit with you about it, but the overall athletic development. Obviously, we live in a sports specialization world, and to a certain extent, that's okay, But talk about the value, especially at a younger age. I'm talking about the developmental years, even prior to high school at times. Talk about the value in multiple sports and kids being able to get those different movements.
Yeah, it all comes down to coordination. And I think the more you can microdose different sports, the more they get essentially movements and a library of movements that you aren't necessarily exposed to unless you play specific sports, right? Gymnasts, dance, wrestling, football, basketball, soccer, baseball are all different, right? And they all require different demands on the body. Is it hand-eye coordination? Is it balance? Is it stability? Is it tumbling, jumping? Is it footwork? Is it, right? And if you can have a huge library that your body's exposed to at an early age, then you're going to be more coordinated over time.
Right.
If you become very specific in sport early, then you become almost robotic in movement. Right. And that's all that you're used to. And we're constantly, we call it decoding the body. They come in, they're almost computers, they're robots in basketball. And man, I spend a lot of time with our guys in areas that are just completely different from basketball in
Right.
movement, to kind of reprogram them to get them more in tune with where their body is in space.
Right.
Multiple sports are really important, and multiple sports at the youth age is extremely important. You don't want to start over specializing too early.
Right. That's fantastic, Coach. And Obviously, I'm a young sports parent, so I've got kids coming up, and I want to try to do it the right way. Also, whatever they want to do, that's what I want them to do. You can't force this thing on anybody, and obviously, I think you only learn that by living it. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where we're at, that I'm at as a parent. So, Coach, we're going to have quite a few St. Albans people listening to this, and because of who you are and what you've meant to the community in the past and present. And talk about just give me a couple great memories that you had growing up in St. Albans, playing for St. Albans. Doesn't even have to be basketball related. Could be education and whatever. This is my third year. I just finished, and I can tell you that it's a special community, and a lot of people don't understand it or know it unless they've lived it. But there's a group of people here that really get behind you. And I think that's special in this day and age, with all kinds of stuff to entertain us and do. And to see a basketball gym packed out to support a local basketball team, it was just phenomenal. So, hey, just talk about a couple memories you had growing up here in this city.
Yeah, it was what a great community to grow up in. At times, right, there was times where I wish I wasn't in a small community because everyone knew who I was, but
Right.
man, it kept me honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm thankful for that now. There's a lot of stories out there, I'm sure, but the people, right? And that's West Virginia in general, right? I mean, I can't think of going to a place in that state where people just aren't genuine and care and really, I mean, just compassionate people that want to help, and it's a great state, and obviously St. Albans is an unbelievable community within the state. And I mean, to pinpoint one thing, it's hard. I mean, I woke up this morning and I wish I could go to Tudor's to get a Ron.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's man, we used to go there after practice, and me and Adam Williams and Mike Chandler and Joel Harvey, those guys.
Right.
We used to have breakfast after every Saturday practice, with Tex, and those are great memories. As a player, probably the Huntington game. It was a dedication game at the time.
Yeah.
Tex Williams Gymnasium, and it was a sold out crowd, and we ended up going on to win that game. And it was an important game in that season for us making it to the state tournament. And that was a fun, just a fun environment to be in. Like you said, you're in a small community and you're selling out that gym. What a great atmosphere it was, and the dog pound was rocking, and that's still going. But and then the people, the people that help develop you along the way. It's just I could go down a huge list, and obviously it starts with my mom and dad and what they meant, and then. As a player, you had Tex Williams and Bill Hersher. He was always there. The gym was always open,
right?
And just taught hard work and Red, Red Osborne and everything he meant. He was my coach my senior year and a great coach, a really player-minded coach. And I just keep going down. I mean, Mike Arbogast was an assistant coach on my Biddy basketball team. I think he implemented the 1-3-1 defense before John Beeline got a hold of it. So just so many good people, and thankful for every single one of them along the way. As a young kid, you're looking up to Brett Nelson and Jason Rader and Reeser and those guys and the success that they had, and and then obviously playing alongside of great players and Adam Williams and TJ Douglas, the success that we were able to have there as players was fun, but thankful for the people that surrounded us, that made it all possible and really kept us in the right direction. I think that's important, especially this day and age. Kids can wander and go side to side, and you're doing it right now. And I think about one of the first times I came back to meet with you and how impressed I was. I went to the weight room that was down there at the Fieldhouse weight room there. And you had the guys lifting weights, but there was also a study table section. And I thought, wow, that's special. And I don't think a lot of people realize the work that you guys do, and keeping these kids down the right path and academics, and really just being a father figure at time for some of these kids. And, you may not know it now, but whenever you look back 10 years, 15 years from now and talk to some of these kids, I think the impressions that you're making now will mold these guys in the future. And I'm thankful to have you there and
Yeah.
your leadership and everything that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, your support's greatly appreciated, Coach. Hey, right here before we close, just touching on, I think the common theme and what you said, from the time that you were growing up in St. Albans to your time at the University of Illinois, how much do relationships matter? Not only being appreciative of your relationships that you were given, but also investing in the relationships that you have an opportunity to invest in. Talk about that and how that's played a role in your career.
It's been everything. It's the reason why I am where I am now.
Yeah.
My network is more powerful than me, that's for sure. And I've been very blessed to be around great people that have helped me along the way. But it's being impactful around everyone that you meet. And I've always been true to myself.
Yeah.
I am who I am. It's sometimes people haven't always agreed, but that's been what's given me success, is because people realize that whenever they're with me, they're going to get raw, authentic Adam Fletcher every time. And but without the people that I've impacted, or the people that have impacted me or that have molded me, I wouldn't be where I am now. And just being intentional in those relationships and understanding what you're going to get. I've never been one of those guys that just tried to reach out to a million people to try to say that I talked to so-and-so. It's all happened organically over time through hard work. Your work precedes who you are in a lot of times. And if you're trying to overstep that and be someone that you're not, then you're never going to get there. But if you just kind of hunker down where you are and try to be the best person in your role where you are, a lot of times that leads to success in the future.
Right. That's awesome, man. Hey, I really appreciate you. Looking forward to getting through this and watching what you do with your team and what you and Coach Underwood and the whole staff. And we'll be in touch. And again, thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hey, I saw your guys are working, man. Drew Reed was there at the park that I grew up playing basketball on, doing his ball handling drills.
He was, yeah. We're limited with the ways that we can motivate, and obviously there's guys that we have that are self-motivated. I don't have to do anything, you know what I mean, and also have parents that are great with them and help, with that stuff. So Drew's one of those kids, his dad's coached, and the kid loves basketball, and so he went from a 5'11" JV ninth grader to a 6'4" varsity starter his sophomore year, averaged almost 9 points a game and shot the lights out, so man, I'm excited for him the next couple of years.
It's fun to watch, and I just want to keep that up, guys. I know that it's not easy right now, but what we're telling our guys, and probably, same thing, like, we want our worst day to be better than everyone else's worst day. We're all in the same spot.
Right.
We call it winning the weight, right? And we're all in this holding pattern, but man, there's things that we can keep doing. And when I saw Drew today doing his ball handling drills on that court, I grew up playing on, it was really fun to watch.
It's great. My theme for the kids is separation season. I know that sounds corny, but it's true, because there's a lot of people in the same boat now. Who's going to do something extra and different, and who's going to have intrinsic motivation, to get it done, because we're limited now as coaches, so got to get it done, man.
Yeah.
So, hey, I appreciate it, brother. And we will talk to you soon, man. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, bro.